I'd like to call to order the Plan Commission meeting for May 7th, 2024 at 6 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, your cadence was off and it was throwing me as I was.
And your booming voice.
Attendance roll call.
Commissioner Graff.
Here.
Commissioner Oliver.
Here.
Alderman Kubaki.
Here.
Commissioner Cieslak.
Here. Yep, perfect.
Commissioner Bartlett.
Here.
Commissioner Buckmaster.
Here.
Mayor Petfalski.
Here.
Clarence Chizbutowski.
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. Statement of public notice.
The agenda was posted and distributed to all news media requesting notification in accordance with the open meeting laws on Friday, May 3rd.
Consent business. I am going to actually get rid of consent because we're going to pull one of them anyway, so we'll just take them separately. We're pulling it to change part of it. So we'll just start with resolution PC 027-2024, approval of a two-lot extraterritorial survey, a certified survey map for Patrice Alekwa, located in the town of Norway. I'm sorry if you're here.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Adam, is there anything?
No, but it's far away from our community borders, so there's really nothing to look at.
All right. Any discussion from any of the commissioners? Hearing done, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes. Resolution PC 028-2024, approval of the sale of fireworks for Freedom Fireworks LLC at the Muskego Center located at West 189 South 7761 Racine Avenue, tax key number 2192.971.
Move to approve. I'll second.
Discussion, Adam?
Thank you, Mayor. This site is a site that has had fireworks sales in the past, so really nothing significantly different here this year. The only main change is that they have a second storage bin for their fireworks, but it's outside the drive aisles, so we're not concerned with that at all. One thing we reiterated in the resolution, which has been kind of a problem with a lot of our firework uses lately, is the amount of yard signs they place all over. They ask for banners to be hung from the tent, which is no problem, and that's part of this request, but they end up we've had issues last year where they were putting them in the boulevard, putting them in the right of way. So we extra clarified with them that they are only allowed signage they request, which are the banners on the tent. So we don't end up with yard signs all over. The only other thing to mention is we would like to suggest an amendment to this resolution. There's a note that they are allowed to use restroom facilities for their customers and employees of the strip mall, but being that it's a strip mall and varying business hours, we want to get some formal proof from those tenants or what the tenants are that are going to allow them to use the restrooms. Otherwise, if they don't get that, they would need to do like a portable toilet. So if we can make an amendment to include that in the resolution.
Almost. To amend.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to amend say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? I guess I'll say for the record also, and we will clear those if you're here. I will clear those signs from the median on a regular basis. It's one of my pet peeves. So make sure they're not in public areas. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to resolution PC 029-2024, approval of a building site and operation plan for plan amendment for Loomis Court LLC located at South 98 West 12575 Loomis Court, tax key number 2257973001.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion? Adam?
Thank you, Mayor. So this request is for an outdoor storage area. So on Loomis Court, this storage facility always had a previously approved smaller outdoor storage area. It's fenced in. It had some older fencing, older slatting in the fencing. The owner kind of started to clean the area up, and as such got a little bit ahead of themselves and started to expand it before they came here, but we worked with them and they kind of developed a plan, had the wetlands delineated, and now they've come forward with a formal request to be allowed to expand their outdoor storage area. If you would go out to the site today, what they're proposing for the most part is there today, minus a driveway they want to add. The long and short of it basically is some of the gravel that was installed in the new expansion area was too close to the wetland area. There's a 15-foot required wetland setback where they can't have any kind of gravel or anything. So as such, what the plan shows is that there's an area where the fencing is, which is within that 15-foot buffer. That's not an issue. We just want to be sure that there's no parking or storage or gravel within that 15-foot distance. So the owner has agreed to remove the gravel to that surface, to that line where the 15-foot marker is. One of the things staff was concerned with, though, was the idea that if, John Smith is backing in his RV, what's going to stop him from not going in that area he's not supposed to be in? So we were recommending in this resolution that some kind of physical barrier be established along that borderline since the fence is set further back. My recommendation, like a parking stop, is probably the easiest, most passive, least involved option. The owner could propose something different, but just something that's going to be a physical barrier so people that are parking know to stay where they're supposed to be and not go in that offset area. Another topic the Plan Commission just may want to discuss was the idea of slatting. Normally we don't encourage fencing with slatting when we're trying to screen something. In this case, the owner did already replace it, and with the new slatting they put in was much better than the old slatting. It's more of a commercial grade. And being that there was slatting there in the past, maybe the Plan Commission's fine with that, just something we should probably hit on. The resolution is written to allow the slatting to remain, assuming the Plan Commission agrees with that. I just think we want to be careful on new sites to probably not encourage slatting as a screening. This is more of a replacement. And we do have a few notations in the resolution about there being some landscaping added to the west side where they're proposing a new driveway just to give a little bit of screening buffer since they are clearing some vegetation for this new driveway on the west side, as well as a small area of some additional evergreen landscaping just to kind of give it a little bit of a buffer. They are also redoing some stormwater features as part of this, but staff is recommending approval, just like I said, with those notations of some kind of barrier at the edge of the 15-foot offset, and then maybe Plan Commission discussing the slatting.
Thank you. Any comments on the slatting?
We can recommend two different types of slatting. One is a 75% opacity and one's 90% opacity. So if you wanted more screening, they could actually put the wing slats in and creating more of a dense visibility.
Yeah, if you look at the photos in the packet, I know that slatting, from an angle screens more than straight on and stuff like that, so you can kind of see the differences in there as far as what's there today.
Any other thoughts or comments on that? Or comments on the buffering, or what do you want to call the barriers of sorts for the wetland setback area?
I would just say, is there a precedent that's already been set for this fence if we do approve it that way? It's already been that way.
Well,
But
it's part of the reason it comes to plan is we do have leeway and things like that. It was slatted before, so
Yeah.
that's probably the only reason we're considering it now.
Yep.
If it wasn't, we probably wouldn't allow it, but since,
and I think a barrier is a great idea for that wetland delineation so that nothing goes in that area. Those are kind of there to protect, that wetland from anything getting in there and contaminating that. So I think that's definitely a good thing. So.
And you discussed those with the owner?
I don't know if we talked about the barrier. We talked this morning about some other landscaping issues that they were okay with.
Okay.
is a petitioner here?
Yeah.
Sir, come on up. Any questions on the barrier? part we're talking
No, we had planned on planting like a creeping vinca flowering ground cover in that area. No one really parks back there without our direction, but we don't have a problem with putting wheel stops back there to ensure that, we don't want them driving over our landscaped area any more than you want them in the buffer, or so we don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Great. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Resolution
Thank
PC.
you.
You're welcome. Resolution PC 030-2024, approval of a building site and operation amendment for two banderas located at South 72 West 16373 Janesville Road, tax key number 2197997.
Move to approve.
No second.
Discussion, Adam?
Thank you, Mayor. So as was mentioned, this is kind of a two-part request here. The first part is painting the building. They want to repaint the building. You'll see in the packet that there are some like kind of computer renderings or that they kind of, I think a lot of times the Sherwin-Williams app, you can kind of show what a color looks like. So you see the images on the screen right now kind of show that. I think we'll all admit they don't really show colors the most accurate and the best. So that's why we also did include in the packet actual like color samples from the Sherwin-Williams website. And, to avoid any discoloration of printing, we just did like screenshots right from the site. So you can see there's the two colors. One is called Copper Harbor, and one is called the Royal Craft Copper Red. So it's kind of this coppery orangey tone and this red tone. So they would want to repaint the building that color scheme. So that's one of the things the Plan Commission would need to talk about. Like I said, we included these other color pages because I think the kind of photo renderings don't fare well for this. The design guide talks about very like neutrally earth tone kind of things. It doesn't specifically prohibit any of the colors they're using. It's just usually we don't want colors that are too bright, even though it's not a bad thing. We're not trying to have something that stands out in a negative way. So that's one item that the Plan Commission should be discussing on, what they want to do with the colors. The other item is outdoor seating. So the owners of the restaurant were kind of toying with a couple different areas of trying to kind of do outdoor seating. At first, they were kind of toying with doing outdoor seating, which would be kind of to the west of the main entry, closer to the northwest corner of the building, closer to the intersection. But that would involve a bunch of removal, landscaping, some of which has already been cleaned up, but retaining walls. So what they proposed is on the kind of northeast side of the building, there's a lawn area right now. So it would be to the left or east of the main entry. There's a lawn area. And what they're proposing is putting up kind of a temporary style, I'll say, even though it's not a temporary fence, a temporary style kind of wrought iron sectional fence that they're going to border between the parking lot and the grass area. And then they're just proposing putting tables and chairs in the grass for outdoor seating. Staff wasn't really sure what the Plan Commission would think about this, as we typically don't have seating just on grass for the sake of it can get slippery. You could have accessibility issues. If it rains and people are tracking through it, depending on how much sun and how dries out it gets, it can get real muddy. Now they are just asking for it just for this year as kind of a trial, I think, to see if they do something more permanent. So it is just a 1-year request. And we do have noted that if it would be approved, that all of the tables and chairs can't be left out there in the winter. They have to be removed from site or placed indoors or something like that. But they are just asking for this for the 24 only. And like I said, staff just has some notes that they'll have to check with the clerk's office for liquor license concerns and things like that. But typically, we don't see a lot of outdoor seating in grass areas just because it can promote some problems. But it is meant to be temporary.
Discussion.
Regarding color, so I took a drive down through Muskego today, and from my perspective, the renderings don't look as good as the Sherwin-Williams colors do. They're a little more vibrant, Sherwin-Williams. My perspective, I think they're all right. I would still call those earth tones. Maybe not in Wisconsin, but I would call them earth tones.
I don't have an issue with the grass, trying this out for a year, especially given where this is located. He's got his garbage dumped there, and then there's all land there. In fact, that's the housing area here. Mm-hmm. So I think if we give him a trial run, that's a fairly small area. It's offset from anyone. And I would not have an issue further trying it out for this coming year.
I'd probably say the same thing. I think like if it's a trial, we'll see how it goes. I think it's gonna be a little bit problematic with the weather and, you know, trying to get staff up there. There is, like Adam said, some accessibility issues with people and there's a wellhead right in the middle of that, so that could be an obstacle. That would be an issue for that area. I think a trial basis for the year would be fine, but, you know, I think it's gotta be reevaluated after that point. Color wise, the only questions I guess I have is they really didn't give an idea where the red would go versus the orange. They just kind of show the orange in one kind of area. Are they painting the red like the trim color? So it was kind of unclear.
Yeah, Aaron, wasn't it the trim we thought was gonna be the darker red?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of see on some of their, yeah, it looks like if you zoom in on some of those, it looks like more of the trim is gonna be the red and the predominant wall color will be the more copper color.
So like they're doing like soffits and fascia in that red color, or are they keeping that kind of the same?
Are you the applicant? Could you come on up? Maybe help clarify for us?
Yeah, so the main color is gonna be the orange color, and then the red one is gonna be on the trims.
Okay.
Is it all the trims or is it just the window trim?
Basically, wherever you see the gray, that's where the red one is gonna go.
Okay, that
Yeah.
helps.
So
Yeah.
it's all around.
Okay,
So soffits as well?
that's what
Yeah,
I
I
see.
believe so.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, those are gray right now, it looks like.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So that's gonna be, you know, a pretty punchy color, that red, you know, especially the fascias and it's gonna be quite a contrast.
Oh. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the colors. I think the colors are okay. I'm just concerned about the installation of that seating area. As you mentioned, there's trip hazards there. There's a permanent border that looks like a concrete border. It's got to be really carefully done because there could be some issues there. To put 10 tables there might be a stretch.
Yep. I would agree.
The other one would be just to, we can't predict what the weather's gonna do, obviously, but it's a grassy area. Obviously, it's gonna be, the grass is gonna want to go where it wants to go. And I'd say that it would be worth our while, because I guess I'll back up. I'm not concerned about it for 1 year. It should come to us a year from now, but I'm almost suggesting that we put in at least maybe 1 or 2 reviews. One at the initial layout, because we talk about trip hazards and you can see those. And 2, maybe throughout the summer months, just to see what condition it runs into. Because we could legitimately say, tarp it and throw some traffic bond down and it would be all gone away, all of the wet, the grass, all of that. But I'm willing to go with it for 1 year.
Are you suggesting a meeting in August there? Or?
Right there, yes, right, that's right. May 5th. Yearly.
Any other comments? Jeremy?
Is the blue canopy, the blue awning staying?
Good question.
Is the blue awning by the entry, is that still there? Is that staying? And if you see in the photo,
I didn't even notice.
I don't know if that's still there, if that's gonna stay.
And the awning coming out from the main door, I think.
I guess I personally, I don't have any issues with the colors either. The blue with that might be a little stark, but it is a Mexican restaurant, right? So vibrant colors are kind of encouraged, right? I think the outdoor seating, long-term, needs to be some sort of hard surface. Short-term, I could see it working. Beyond that, I guess, you know, as long as the owner understands accessibility is an issue for them, you know, outside of this board, you have some accessibility issues. So if you provide outdoor seating, make sure you keep that in mind for people if they come in a wheelchair or if they're handicapped, that you might want to offer a spot that is safe for them to travel to. So.
I myself, the colors I'm okay with. I mean, Trace Locals has bright colors on, or similar type colors on their building, right down the street. I agree with you on the one year thing. Not only from that, and we're gonna take a bite at this on council also for expanding their liquor license. So the noise and how it affects the neighbors. There are homes on two of the sides of this, so that's gotta be closely monitored as well. So, but I'm willing to try it for a year. So. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I do have one comment. Will staff take a look at this once it's installed?
We normally wouldn't, but we gladly can.
I think.
If anything, I would maybe want our inspectors to look at it, even though I don't know, a lot of their codes don't apply to outside stuff, or
Our code wouldn't really touch this. It'd be more ADA and everything else that,
some of that they would look at it.
I mean, I'll be frank here, it's their liability, not ours on it. And we're not trying to promote something unsafe, but I think our discussion here kind of covers that area, and the fact that we're doing it for 1 year. I wouldn't mind if you want to direct staff to go, check it out.
We can ask them that once it's set up, before they would open it, have us just come take a look to make sure there's nothing as an issue, kind of just document how it really panned out, and then might be I don't think that going out at the end of the year is a bad idea either. Just, I don't think anyone here is encouraging grass for long term.
No.
But so then maybe it's not as important at the end to see really how it turned out, because it's not going to be there long term.
Right.
So maybe we can just probably make a side note to have staff before they would install
I
it.
can just direct,
I second that. I think it'd be worth their while.
yeah, I can just direct them to do that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
We don't need to. All right, any further comments?
So do we need to make a amendment?
No, I'm just going to direct them executively to do that. So if you're okay with that.
Sure, it's fine.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you. Resolution PC 031, 2024, approval of a building site and operation plan amendment for St. Paul's Evangelical Lutheran Church located at South 66 West 14325 Janesville Road, tax key number 2165972001.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Discussion, Adam?
Thank you, Mayor. So as was noted, this is for two separate additions to the St. Paul Church campus. First one is a larger addition of new gathering space and worship space kind of to the southeast part of the main church building. And the second addition is off the east side of kind of the southern leg of the school building. So those are the two main features here. As part of the addition of these features, specifically focusing on the church first, this is over an area that has existing parking, and as such, there are modifications proposed to the drive entry, to parking areas. There's a new parking lot proposed on the northeast part of the site to make up for some of the lost space, but also for the increased capacity that is going to be out there. As far as the design of this architecture goes, first of all, we look at the main church. The existing church is a full masonry building with angular walls and some, unique roof overhangs. The addition also matches kind of the just same general style with some angular walls, a mixture of brick masonry to match the existing building, along with some metal panels and glass panels. They were really trying to do a little bit more of a lighter kind of contemporary feel as part of some of the additions, while still kind of keep that feel of the existing church, which they seem to do a good job with. Masonry accounts for approximately 44% of the new facades, but when you look at the overall church and the overall facades, they're well over the 50% we typically like to see, so staff didn't have any concerns with the materials proposed. They are showing a large covered overhang that's going to be kind of like a covered entry area that they'll be able to drive under. That's also going to have a 55-foot tall modern angular spire, that kind of sticks up into the air, and on top of that would be a lit cross. The spire is proposed with a white metal panel material with that internal lit cross, like I mentioned. Normally, the height limit for features on a site like this with this zoning is 35 feet, but the Plan Commission is allowed to grant waivers to that per the code in the height section for unique architectural features like a spire such as this. So it is something that staff doesn't have an issue with if the Plan Commission doesn't. The resolution is written currently to approve that as part of it. As far as the architecture for the school addition goes, the building that's existing on the school in that area is 100% masonry, with the exception of some of the upper areas on the upper gymnasium that has some lap siding. As far as the proposed addition, there is a masonry band wrapping around the three sides of the building with a beige fiber cement horizontal siding extending above that to the upper part of the wall. The color of that beige siding does match the siding on the gym addition that was done previously. The east side of the building, originally the wall was just kind of flat with a little bit lack of detail, but the design team did add a little area of some other decorative board and batten type siding to help kind of break up the monotony of that flat wall, which we think is a kind of nice addition just to give it a little bit of character, even though it is still kind of towards the rear of the building. And so staff has no concerns with this architectural design either. As the general site layout goes, as we talked about, the entry drive off of Janesville Road will kind of have to be relocated a little bit to the east as part of this. But everything with our preliminary review as far as the aisle sizes and the driveway sizes and parking stall sizes all appears to be, appears to meet our general code requirements. As far as the parking goes, like I said, there is a new 77 stall parking area located on the northeast part of the site where there's existing lawn. That area also contains a kind of dry pond depression area that kind of previously handled stormwater. They are looking at removing one of the homes that is over in that area to actually expand that pond because they do have to account for new impervious surfaces. So while the plans right now that we have just kind of show us a general area with some basic grading, our engineering staff will review all the details when that step of the process comes further. Overall, on the site, they are expanding to a total of 335 parking stalls plus 6 handicap stalls. And based on the code, they're supposed to have 1 stall for every 3 seats in the church occupancy, which is 292. So they are meeting and exceeding the parking requirement. One thing they do note is that, if they were using all of the worship space in the church, including the gym, which it sounds like they won't be because they're very conscious about scheduling both of those, then there could be parking concerns. But they noted that they're very conscious about only scheduling stuff in one side or the other side at a time to not run into an issue there, which is appreciated. They do show curb and gutter as is typically required around the new parking areas and around the driveways and such, so staff doesn't have any concerns with that at this time. One thing they didn't meet is we normally require landscape islands every 10 parking stalls. That is one thing they asked for a waiver on. They don't have any really large expanses without islands, and staff doesn't have a concern with that either because they do have islands kind of in key spots that will be landscaped, which is appreciated. As far as HVAC units, and we always want to screen those items, so any kind of ground-mounted mechanicals, transformers will need to be screened. As far as the church addition goes, they do show some metal-like screening features on the roof. They do seem like they should be sufficient, but obviously once we get the more final design and eventually inspect the site, we'll make sure those are screened from all surrounding views. They do note that they are having some parapet walls on the school building that they believe will cover the mechanicals back there, and if they wouldn't be covered, we'll have to cross that bridge or some kind of screening goes, but they believe that what they're proposing will cover that. They do show some preliminary landscaping in the packet. It's definitely a great start, but we are definitely going to need to see more landscaping along the north side of the parking lot on that northeast corner and the east side, just because it faces the road and faces some residences to make sure we don't have any headlight issues. But that will be worked out down the road, not a big concern now. They don't have any signage or lighting details now, but those will come down the road. And there are some just general notes about some other projects maybe happening on site, like a maintenance building and things. Anything like that would need a separate approval when that time would come. But staff thinks this is a really great addition and glad to see the church expanding, and we are recommending approval.
Thank you. Does the petitioner have anything to add before we discuss? We got it all? All right. Discussion? Comments?
Screening might be an issue because the property is in a bit of a depression off of Janesville Road. But that speaks to the spire. The spire's moderated by that depression in my estimation. So that's the only concern I have is the screening of the mechanicals on top of the building because of the sight line from Janesville Road.
Yeah, and The areas where the mechanicals are going is a little bit lower than some of the stuff facing Janesville, so I don't think that will be an issue, but, because they're really only showing needing to screen it from kind of the back, the inside part of the site. But that is something we'll look at further when we do our permit review and then obviously the site inspections.
Very tastefully done. It's a nice addition.
No issues. This is good.
No, very good.
Did your homework.
I just have one question other than that. I love it. I think the design is great. Is there curb being proposed on the inside of the drive-through that kind of protects the spire so that if a car is coming into that drive-through?
Yeah, so I think if you see on your screen right now, you can kind of see, Aaron, can you kind of point to where the overhang is? To the left, yeah, down, right.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, the spire's down a little more, but yeah, that inside island is curbed.
Okay. Yeah, there's differing, in the documents, there's differing.
Yeah, this plan you see here is more current. There was some kind of later alterations there, and yeah, it definitely would be in their best interest to have that protected for sure.
Further comments? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Any miscellaneous or business? Hearing none, motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 6:31. Thanks, everyone.